She stood outside for 5 minutes, staring at the bell. Finally, she pressed it. The gate opened slowly. A tall security man looked down at her. Yes. She raised the wallet. I believe this belongs to Mr. John Okoro. The guard narrowed his eyes. Who gave you this? I picked it. From the ground. At the market. It was a hot Thursday afternoon in Abuja market. The sun sat high like a watchful eye. Hawkers chased shadows. Traders wiped sweat from their foreheads. In the middle of the chaos, something fell. A black leather wallet. It hit the dusty ground without a sound. No one noticed. Not the man who dropped it. Not the women selling tomatoes. Not the children dragging school bags. But someone saw it. Grace. She had just finished selling her last bowl of groundnuts. Her sandals were worn. Her dress faded. But her eyes, sharp as a cat's, caught the wallet the moment it hit the ground. She looked left. Looked right. No one had seen. She bent down slowly. Her heart began to beat faster. She picked it up. Opened it. Her eyes widened. Inside, a thick bundle of new notes. 100,000 naira. And a small business card. The man's name? Mr. John Okoro. A wealthy name. A familiar name. One of the big men in town. Owner of shops. Landlord of buildings. Rich. Respected. Untouchable. Grace stood there, holding a stranger's fortune in her hands. Her stomach growled. Her rent was due. Her younger brother was sick. Nobody saw her pick it up. Nobody would know if she kept it. Voices whispered in her head. Just take it. Rich people don't feel loss. God must be blessing you. This is your breakthrough. Use it to solve your problems, just once. But another voice whispered softly. What if it was your own money? What if someone is watching you right now? She took a deep breath. And she ran. Not away with the money, but toward the address written on the card. Grace reached a tall blue gate in Garki, one of the rich parts of the city. She stood outside for 5 minutes, staring at the bell. Finally, she pressed it. The gate opened slowly. A tall security man looked down at her. Yes. She raised the wallet. I believe this belongs to Mr. John Okoro. The guard narrowed his eyes. Who gave you this? I picked it. From the ground. At the market. He dropped it. The guard looked confused. Suspicious. Wait here. He shut the gate. Inside, Mr. John Okoro was sipping cold malt on a leather chair when the guard walked in. Sir, the guard said, there's a girl outside. Says she picked your wallet. John blinked. His hand went to his back pocket. Empty. He stood up slowly. Bring her in. Grace stepped into the compound. It looked like a palace. Tiles shining. Flowers lined up like soldiers. Cars that she only saw in magazines. John stood by the door, arms folded, staring. She stretched out the wallet with both hands. He took it. Opened it. Counted the money. Nothing was missing. He looked at her. Long and hard. What's your name? Grace. You didn't take a single naira? No, sir. You could have. I know, sir. Why didn't you? She paused. My mother always said, you don't use another man's sweat to wipe your tears. Mr. Okoro said nothing. He just turned and walked inside. Grace stood still, unsure what to do. Then, a young man walked out from the house. Tall. Calm. Clean haircut. Hello, he said. I'm Peter. My father told me what you did. She nodded quietly. That was very honest of you, he said, smiling. Not many people would return that money. She looked at the ground. I didn't do it for a reward. I just did what I thought was right. Peter smiled. Can I offer you something to drink? And just like that, a door opened. Not just the house gate, but a door into something bigger than she could imagine. Over the next 2 weeks, Grace forgot the incident. She continued selling her groundnuts, caring for her younger brother, trying to survive. But behind the scenes, something was happening. Mr. Okoro had told his son, "Peter, I've had money for years, but I've never seen honesty like that, girls. You said you want a wife with good heart? I think God just showed you one." Peter agreed, but he didn't want to rush. He wanted to test her himself. So he came to the market, dressed simple, like a regular man. Not in his father's car, not in designer shoes. He bought groundnuts from Grace. She didn't recognize him. The next day, he came again, bought water. They started talking. Little by little, friendship began. Not about money, not about marriage. Just laughter, stories, and smiles. But Grace, she started feeling something. The way Peter listened. The way he spoke gently. The way he respected even the old women selling bananas. He didn't look like a rich man, but he felt different. One evening, after the sun had bowed and the market was almost empty, Grace was packing her tray when Peter showed up again. But this time, his face looked different. He wasn't smiling. "Grace," he said, "can I ask you something personal?" She paused, adjusting her scarf. "Okay." "What would you do," he asked slowly, "if you found out I was not who you think I am?" Grace frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what if I told you I wasn't poor? That I'm from a wealthy family? That I live in a house with gates taller than mango trees?" She blinked. Then she laughed softly. "Peter, stop playing. Why are you joking like this?" But he didn't smile. "I'm serious," he said. "I wanted to know the real you. Not how you act when money is involved." Silence. She stared at him. "So, you lied to me?" "I didn't lie," he said quietly. "I just didn't say everything." Grace looked away. Her chest was tight. Her hands were cold. She wasn't angry about his wealth. She was hurt that he didn't trust her enough to tell her the truth. Peter watched her face and said only one thing. "My name is Peter Okoro. My father is John Okoro, the man whose wallet you returned." She dropped her tray. Everything made sense now. The mansion. The car that dropped him once in the distance. The way he spoke. All the puzzle pieces clicked together. Grace looked up, eyes misty. "So, all this while, I was being tested." Peter nodded. "Yes. But I didn't expect to fall in love with you." The next morning, Peter invited Grace to the house again. This time, not as a guest, but as someone his father wanted to meet, officially. Mr. Okoro sat in his usual chair, his walking stick by his side, glasses on his nose. He looked at Grace and said nothing for a while. Then he smiled. "You are the only person I've seen return a wallet full of money and walk away without asking for anything. That's rare." Grace lowered her eyes. "I wasn't raised to ask for praise. I just did what I knew was right." Mr. Okoro looked at Peter and nodded. Peter held her hand gently. "Grace, would you consider spending your life with someone like me?" She looked into his eyes. "I've always wanted someone who respects people, not someone who just has money. If you're that man, then yes." Tears touched the corner of Mr. Okoro's eyes. "My late wife would have loved you," he said softly. The wedding was small. No loud music. No dancing girls. Just close friends, soft drums, palm wine, and blessings. Grace wore a simple white dress sewn by her own hands. Peter wore a native cloth and sandals. Mr. Okoro stood with pride. "Sometimes," he said to the guests, "God hides blessings inside small acts. And sometimes, the one who looks the poorest carries the richest heart." Everyone clapped. But in one corner of the compound stood a young girl who used to sell beside Grace in the market. She leaned close to her friend and whispered, "Can you imagine? We told Grace to keep the money. She said no. Now look, she's living the life we only dream of." The friend shook her head slowly. Her honesty built her house. 1 year passed. Grace started a foundation, the Wallet of Grace, where she helped young girls from poor homes learn trade and self-respect. Every time someone asked her how she made it, she smiled and said, "It is because I returned a wallet." Sometimes, the biggest doors are opened by the smallest keys. And in the middle of a noisy market, one honest choice can change your life forever. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please subscribe for more stories.